Behind the bright lights of TLC's 90-Day Fiancé was a story far darker than anyone imagined. Jenny Slatten and Sumit Singh were seen as a couple who had beaten all odds. Fans believed their love story was real and unbreakable. But what if it wasn't? What if the man who promised eternal love was living a secret double life? According to confidential sources, Sumit Singh was secretly involved with multiple women. He was seen meeting different girlfriends at various restaurants, revealing a complicated personal life hidden from the public. And that wasn't all. These same sources claim Sumit also fell into a serious financial crisis after suffering major losses in the stock market. Eventually, he was trapped in debt totaling nearly $300,000. When he failed to pay his installments, legal action was taken. Creditors filed lawsuits, and after court hearings and investigation, Sumit Singh was arrested by court order. He was later sentenced to 7 months in prison. Affairs, betrayal, financial collapse, and courtroom drama slowly destroyed what once looked like a fairy tale romance. Today, we explore the side of their story that cameras never showed. To understand how far things fell apart, we must remember how high their love once stood. After nearly 10 years of long-distance struggle, visa problems, and strong opposition from his parents, Sumit finally married Jenny. She was 63, he was 33. The age difference shocked many, but their determination seemed stronger than judgment. Jenny left behind her life in America, her family, friends, and comfort to be with him. Their small wedding felt like a victory. But according to sources in Delhi and Mumbai, the marriage began falling apart almost immediately after the celebrations ended. Behind social media smiles was a carefully created illusion. The real Sumit, sources say, felt trapped by the reality of his choices. Once the excitement of the fight, the cameras, and public attention faded, he began looking for validation elsewhere. Using his minor fame from the show, Sumit started using exclusive dating apps and attending high-end social gatherings in Delhi. Far from the quiet apartment he shared with Jenny, he presented himself not as a married man, but as a single, eligible bachelor. He often claimed the relationship with Jenny was just a TV storyline, exaggerated for drama. This behavior began around 6 or 7 months after the wedding. He became a regular at certain clubs in areas like Hauz Khas and Connaught Place. He was drawn to young, ambitious, well-off Indian women who were not fans of the show. He never mentioned having a wife. This was not a one-time mistake. Sources describe a clear pattern. On March 15, 2023, Sumit was seen having an intimate dinner with a woman we'll call Priya, a fashion stylist, at a restaurant in Chanakyapuri. They stayed for more than 3 hours, holding hands across the table. Just 10 days later, he was spotted with another woman, Anjali, an aspiring actress, at Ping's Cafe Orient in Kamala Nagar. Meanwhile, Jenny believed her husband was attending business meetings or spending time with male friends. She sensed distance, late nights, unexplained expenses, and a sudden secrecy with his phone. When she questioned him, he always had excuses. He blamed stress, business problems, or the stock market. He told her she was being paranoid. What Jenny didn't know was that the stock market excuse was real and far more dangerous than she imagined. While Sumit was living a double romantic life, he was also caught in another destructive habit: high-risk stock trading. According to financial and legal sources, he developed a serious gambling addiction tied to the Indian stock market. He began day trading options and futures using borrowed money. At first, he made some profits. Those early wins fueled his belief that he could not lose. He borrowed more money, taking personal loans from banks and, most dangerously, from unregulated private lenders with extremely high interest rates. When the market turned, the losses were devastating. A series of trades in early 2023 wiped out everything he had. He was left with debt totaling about $300,000. In India, this amount is life-changing. The monthly payments became impossible. Private lenders began calling relentlessly. Jenny answered the phone sometimes, hearing threatening voices asking for Sumit. He would grab the phone, claiming they were prank calls or mistakes. Behind the scenes, Sumit was breaking down. He became withdrawn, angry, and distant. Romantic trips and social media posts were funded through credit card cash advances. his last attempt to maintain the illusion of stability. By August 2023, the situation collapsed. 3 private lenders filed a civil lawsuit against Sumit Singh for defaulting on over $200,000 in loans. The remaining debt was owed to banks, which began their own recovery actions. The court summons arrived at their apartment. Jenny was confused and terrified. When she saw the documents, the truth became impossible to deny. The legal papers listed massive amounts of debt and multiple creditors. In that moment, the reality of her husband's deception hit her all at once. The case was messy from the beginning. Sumit tried to defend himself by arguing that the interest rates were unfair. Some of them were, but he had signed the contracts. He had no real defense for failing to pay. He also missed several court dates, which only made things worse. The lenders pushed for the harshest punishment to set an example. Jenny was humiliated. The private life she valued so deeply was now public. Indian media picked up the story. Headlines described a 90-day fiancé star buried in debt. The image of their perfect love story quickly collapsed. The court proceedings dragged on for months. Sources say Sumit appeared broken in court. He had no solid defense, and the evidence against him was overwhelming. After reviewing the documents and hearing testimony, the judge found him guilty of willful default and financial fraud. The verdict was delivered in April 2024. Instead of simple penalties like asset seizure or wage garnishment, the judge ruled that Sumit's actions showed deliberate fraud and disregard for the law. He was sentenced to 7 months in Tihar jail, one of India's most notorious prisons, as a warning to others. The man who once promised Jenny the world on national television was now a convicted criminal. The arrest happened immediately. Sumit was taken into custody, directly from the courthouse. Jenny was there. She stood in silence as he was handcuffed and led away. That moment, according to sources, was when her heart finally broke beyond repair. For Jenny, life became a nightmare. Their apartment felt like a grave filled with memories. Calls from producers, friends, and family went unanswered. She was alone in a foreign country, her husband in prison, and her life savings, money she had trusted Sumit to manage, were nearly gone. She visited him only once, in early May 2024. Sources describe the visit as cold, painful, and final. Tihar jail was overwhelming for her, the crowds, the noise, the harsh process. When she saw Sumit, he was no longer charming. He looked thin, frightened, and full of excuses. He blamed the show's producers for not paying him enough. He blamed the market. He blamed his family. But he never fully took responsibility. When Jenny confronted him about the other women, he finally admitted everything during that visit. He believed his situation would earn sympathy. Instead, it destroyed what little remained. The financial disaster was devastating, but the affairs were worse. They were deliberate and ongoing. For Jenny, that betrayal killed the love and trust she had held onto for a decade. She left the prison a different woman. The hopeful Jenny seen on television was gone. In her place was someone who finally saw the truth. She returned to their empty apartment and made the hardest decision of her life. It was time to leave. It was time to end the fairy tale that had become a nightmare. With help from loyal friends and the American embassy, Jenny began separating herself from the life she had built in India. Her first step was hiring a lawyer to file for divorce, citing adultery and irreconcilable differences. Serving divorce papers to an inmate in Tihar jail was complicated, but it was done by late May 2024. Sources say Sumit reacted in stages, first angry, then desperate, then hopeless. He begged her to wait, promising he would change after his release. But Jenny's decision was final. Years of forgiveness had run out. Dr. Sharma explains that Jenny reached a breaking point. She had endured family rejection, public scrutiny, financial lies, and betrayal. Leaving was an act of survival and self-respect. Because Sumit was in no position to fight it, the divorce moved quickly. In June 2024, Jenny Slatten was legally free. She quietly boarded a flight from Indira Gandhi International Airport back to the United States. There were no cameras, no crowds, just a 66-year-old woman carrying the broken pieces of a decade-long dream. Their story was over. Returning to America was difficult. Jenny moved in with her daughter, seeking privacy and peace. She felt deep shame and embarrassment about how publicly her life had fallen apart. She avoided the media, deleted social media apps, and focused on healing. During this time, someone from her past reappeared. His name was Alex, a 58-year-old retired schoolteacher and widower. He was a longtime family friend who knew Jenny through her daughter. When he heard about her ordeal, he didn't reach out with pity, only quiet support. He checked on her, helped her open a bank account, sort out insurance, and handle everyday tasks that felt overwhelming. After years of chaos, Alex was calm, stable, and normal. He was the opposite of Sumit. There were no dramatic promises or grand gestures. He simply listened. He made her laugh again. He represented peace, stability, and respect, everything she had been missing. Their friendship slowly turned into something more. For the first time, Jenny was in a relationship that was private, real, and free from judgment. In early September 2024, in a quiet moment away from the world, Alex proposed. Jenny said yes. The engagement is not for television. It is not a publicity stunt. It is the choice of a woman who survived pain and found healing. Sumit Singh was released from Tihar jail in late 2024 after serving his sentence. Sources say his reputation is destroyed. He is living with his parents in Delhi, burdened by debt and regret. The fame he once used now follows him as a reminder of his downfall. Jenny Slatten is planning a small, private wedding with Alex in spring 2025. She has no plans to return to television. She is focused on peace, family, and a new life. The woman who once said she would die for love has finally chosen to live for herself. She did not return to the spotlight, even when offers came quietly through intermediaries. Some producers believed audiences would want to see her side of the story, a redemption arc, a final chapter on screen. Jenny declined every request. After years of living her most painful moments in front of millions, privacy had become more valuable than money or attention. She wanted a life that did not require explaining herself to strangers. Healing was not fast. Some mornings she woke up disoriented, forgetting where she was, reaching for a phone to check messages from a man who no longer existed in her life. Other days, anger arrived without warning. Anger at Sumit, at herself, at the years she could never get back. Therapy became part of her routine, not because she was broken, but because she wanted to understand how love had slowly turned into sacrifice and sacrifice into silence. She learned that loneliness can exist even inside a relationship, and that hope, when left unchecked, can become a prison. She spoke openly with her therapist about the red flags she ignored, the lies she explained away, and the voice inside her that told her something was wrong long before the truth became undeniable. Naming those moments helped loosen their grip. Her relationship with her daughter also began to heal. There had been strain for years, unspoken resentment and fear masked as concern. Jenny apologized for disappearing into a life so far away, for choosing love at the cost of closeness. Her daughter, older now and wiser herself, forgave her. They rebuilt slowly, through shared meals, quiet conversations, and ordinary days that felt extraordinary after so much chaos. Alex never rushed her. He understood grief, having lost his wife years earlier. He knew that love after loss does not arrive loudly. It enters carefully, respectfully, waiting for permission. He never asked her to forget the past, only to stop letting it define her future. When memories surfaced, he listened. When she needed space, he gave it. When laughter returned, he welcomed it without surprise. They set boundaries together. No interviews, no public statements, no social media announcements beyond what close family and friends already knew. Their relationship was built on routines instead of drama. Morning walks, shared grocery lists, quiet evenings reading or watching old movies. It was not exciting in the way television demands excitement. It was steady. And for Jenny, that steadiness felt revolutionary. Occasionally, she would catch glimpses of her former life online despite her efforts to avoid it. Comment threads dissecting her choices. Strangers arguing about her mistakes. Some blamed her. Others defended her. Most did neither, treating her life as entertainment rather than reality. At first, it hurt. Later, it faded into background noise. She realized she no longer needed validation from people who did not know her. As months passed, Jenny began to reclaim parts of herself that had been put on hold. She returned to old hobbies, volunteering locally, taking short trips with friends she had nearly lost touch with. She found joy in being useful, in being present, in being ordinary. The extraordinary had cost her too much. She also began quietly supporting other women who reached out to her privately, not with advice, but with honesty. She told them she did not regret loving deeply. She regretted staying silent when something felt wrong. She reminded them that leaving does not mean failure, and that starting over is not weakness. Many thanked her. Some didn't respond. She never expected them to. Across the world, Sumit's life moved in the opposite direction. Not dramatically, not with public moments of reckoning, but with slow consequences. Debt negotiations, rejected job applications, old friends who no longer answered calls. The weight of his choices followed him everywhere. Sources say he spoke often of regret, though regret without responsibility offered little relief. His name, once associated with romance and defiance, became a cautionary tale. There was no dramatic reunion, no final confrontation, no closure scene. Jenny never spoke to him again after the divorce was finalized. Closure, she learned, is not something another person gives you. It is something you decide to stop chasing. As the spring of 2025 approached, wedding plans remained simple. A small ceremony, a handful of people, no cameras, no speeches about destiny or soulmates, just a quiet commitment built on shared understanding. Jenny did not believe in fairy tales anymore. She believed in effort, honesty, and kindness. She believed in choosing peace even when chaos is louder. On the morning she chose her wedding dress, she looked at herself in the mirror longer than she had in years. Not with criticism, not with longing, but with acceptance. She saw someone who had loved bravely, fallen painfully, and stood back up. She saw someone who survived. The story the public once followed had ended long ago. What remained was not a scandal, not a tragedy, but a woman living a life that finally belonged to her. No longer defined by age gaps, cultural battles, or television edits. Just Jenny. And if there was one lesson her journey offered, it was this. Love should never require you to shrink, to stay silent, or to endure harm in the name of loyalty. Real love does not demand sacrifice of self. It makes room for it. For the first time in a very long time, Jenny felt free. Freedom did not arrive all at once. It came in quiet moments that felt almost unremarkable to anyone else. The first time Jenny traveled without anxiety. The first night she slept without waiting for a call that never came. The first time she made a decision without asking permission or bracing for conflict. These small moments added up, slowly reshaping her sense of self. She began to trust her instincts again. For years, she had been taught, subtly and repeatedly, to doubt them. If something felt wrong, she told herself it was fear, age, insecurity, or cultural misunderstanding. Now, when something felt wrong, she listened. That shift changed everything. Alex noticed it too. He saw her posture change, her voice grow steadier, her laughter come more easily. He never tried to take credit for her healing. He understood that she was not being saved. She was saving herself. He was simply walking beside her. They talked openly about the future, not in sweeping promises, but in practical hopes. Where they might live, how they wanted to spend holidays, what kind of life felt meaningful at this stage. There was comfort in those conversations, in knowing that love could exist without urgency or fear. Jenny also made peace with her past, not by rewriting it, but by accepting it fully. She stopped framing those years as wasted time. They were painful, yes, but they taught her clarity. They showed her what love is not, and in doing so, helped her recognize what love should be. Occasionally, memories would still surface. A place, a song, a phrase in another language. When they did, she allowed herself to feel the sadness without letting it pull her backward. Grief, she learned, does not mean regret. It simply means something mattered. As word spread quietly among those who knew her, Jenny became a symbol of something unexpected. Not resilience as performance, but resilience as choice. The choice to leave, the choice to start again, the choice to value peace over pride. She no longer felt the need to explain herself to the world. Her story did not belong to the internet, to television, or to public opinion. It belonged to her. In the end, there was no dramatic ending, no final scene. Just a woman waking up each day in a life that felt honest. A life where love did not hurt. A life where she could finally breathe. And that, more than any fairy tale, was the ending she deserved.